said, I'm just going to take it step by step and go back through um, and just look at some of the grammar and like rephrasing of sentences, some of the adjectives. I cracked up. You were like, where did you get this word? I'm like, look, I am rephrasing my life away around here.
Yeah.
So you were like, where did you get that word? I'm like, I don't know, thesaurus. Everything is like, what's another word for this? What's another word?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, what were your thoughts about the overall like cohesiveness of chapter 2?
No, I think you're in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I've slept a day or two. Yeah,
Oh,
it's only
trust me,
Monday.
I understand.
And grades were due for graduating people and stuff. So,
Oh, it's moving.
yeah.
It's so crazy because I looked at the spring academic calendar for 2022 and I'm like, oh dear God, I could possibly be graduating in
Yeah.
May.
Wouldn't
Big
that be
possibility.
cool? Huh.
Mhm.
I think you've done a great job demonstrating the need and the
Mhm.
fact that the teachers are with the kids all day long and stuff.
Correct. Correct.
So I think you have really done well
Yeah.
with stating the need and so on.
So that's good. I'm glad that, and I think that 50, it made me feel like I had to just like pull so many different aspects out. Like,
Yeah.
what
And
are the
I don't stick
policies?
with
Yeah.
that 50. If
Yeah.
40, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Because I think you did start repeating. Was that you?
I saw that. I was like, oh God. I am working with different drafts because I did hire an editor. So I'm working with different drafts. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm like, oh God, trying to transfer to like the cleanest copy of
Right.
what we're creating.
Yeah.
But I did see that. And so I hopefully I'll go back and fix that.
Mm-hmm.
I also some good news.
Uh-huh.
I have asked permission from two researchers because I saw two different questionnaires. I have received permission from one of them,
Okay.
and so I want to share that with you today because I think that this you like this. I think that this researcher's survey is quantitative,
Okay.
but if I could, I want to change them and alter them to make them qualitative.
Okay.
And so we were just trying to get a approval
Mm-hmm.
and then take it from there. And
Right.
so if we could kind of look at those today and work on those, so that
Oh,
way I can kind of, you know,
yeah.
pay
Can you send
it
those to me
forward.
quick or so I can look
Yeah,
at
let me do that.
them?
And then I can also share my screen with you too.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to share screen and then send it to me later, that works too.
Okay. My email decided to separate itself into like many, however, whatever. So it looks a little weird. I didn't even know you can organize your email to do all of this. So she did email me like back and forth. Like I emailed her originally. She emailed me and said, hey, can you send this as a Word document so I can sign it? And then of course I sent the Word document and then she sent back like, okay, here is your blah blah blah. So will I need to like include all of those back and forth
No,
into my
just whatever where she says you have my permission.
got you. Um,
Oh, you know what? I don't think I've made it so you can share. You're trying
okay.
to share. I haven't done it yet. Sorry. Got COVID brain, right?
Oh no, it's okay. I was
Okay.
trying to find it. So this is like a community and youth collaboratory school experience survey. And like I said, I know I want to change it up, but I wanted to use something as a base.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like this survey asked them different areas like student academic motivation. And so you'll see questions about that. Student school connectedness. Do students enjoy coming to school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Academic press, our teachers being helpful, student internalizing behaviors,
Mm. Yeah.
um, Student psychological well-beings. My students have positive mental health. So those are some different factors that we could possibly use. Externalizing behaviors. My students demonstrate poor attention spans, demonstrate high, that can definitely tie in a little bit.
Definitely, yeah.
Student social skills. My
Mhm.
students are easygoing and flexible. I don't know how well that I see it just, maybe one quick topic or so.
Yeah.
Student safety,
Mm-hmm.
physical activity and nutrition, support for students' basic needs.
Yeah, because those impact the
All of these
all the
external,
courses.
internal
Mhm.
factors that kind of go into it.
Yeah.
Caregiving, support for learning, support their children with their schoolwork, attend meetings at the school.
Yeah.
Family history. My student's family has a history of mental health problems, have a history of problem behaviors, are suspected of abuse or neglect, are involved in the child welfare system.
Mm. Yeah, we would definitely have to pick and choose from
Right,
these.
right. Definitely have to condense and pick and choose.
Mm.
Perception of student community has accessible services and supports for family,
There
has
you go. Yeah.
And so I'll send this to you so we can kind of look at it. And let me just shoot it to you so you can see it together.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
because of course, if we can just get that part,
Yeah.
then we'll be kind of ready to move forward as far as that.
Yeah. I don't think we have to use a set, survey instrument that's already been. You can use your own to answer the questions and um,
Are you saying you don't think we should use?
well, no, I'm just saying that one was so big and so broad.
Yeah.
You would even have to expand your literature review to include a lot of the topics that they're discussing.
Right. Now this one is good because it gives you variety.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do we have to use variety? No. Now, I know in my chapter 2, we did mention like external factors and how children are being faced with a lot of things like externally from movies and medias and things like that
Yeah.
that could affect their mental health. So maybe just a few of those, like how their family, blah, 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 is
Mm.
that kind of affecting. I think the questions about the student's history of mental health, that could be kind of valid a little bit, like externally
Mhm.
factors. There were a few questions above.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go through and pull out the questions that you feel like you would want?
Mhm.
And it looks like the responses are pretty the same, almost never, sometimes half
Half the
the time.
time. There's no open-ended for sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe we can put all of them on a Likert scale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you would want to put it numeric, 0, almost never, up to 5 or 6 or however many we got here.
And
then you got your demographics.
I think the demographics are
Well, that's good to know
right.
whether they're regular classroom teacher or special ed teacher or whatever. Gosh, for gender, we probably have to put
Binary.
non-binary or something, or which I don't know how well that's going to go over with HBU either. It's like
Right.
we
That's
either
true.
offend HBU or we offend popular culture.
Yeah, we'll just leave a blank space.
Yeah. Male, female, other.
A, B, C with a line. And if anyone feels like they should add a line or a different pronoun, we're just gonna roll with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is so true. I haven't even thought about that. So what I'm hearing you say is we're gonna keep the demographic section because that's always good to use.
Yeah, keep the demographics. And if there's You might want to, yeah, how many years working in schools?
Mm-hmm.
So that's good, how much experience they have. You might want to add like a question, how much professional development have you had in
Right.
the field of mental health?
Would that still go on the demographic section or
Yeah,
it
I
didn't?
think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we might say, okay, the longer people have experience working in the schools, the more professional development they have. And
Correct.
or is it still low no matter how many years?
Mm-hmm.
I'd be
Do you think
curious.
we should keep the same answer choices for this question, or you think we should leave it open
On 87.
on how much professional development?
Oh, like the question we're adding?
For the question we're adding,
Yeah.
you think we should do the A through F, or do you think we should leave it open?
Because you don't get years of, so we'd have to come up with our own.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, if we leave it open, I guess I can actually state what the participant stated, instead of just,
yes.
I want to stay as qualitative as possible. Do you think that these answers would lean it toward quantitative if I said
Well, they
so
would, but
many?
that's okay because we can do we can do mixed methods where we've got both.
Okay, as long as they know it's qualitative.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to go into
But the
to
quality
add.
is what's helping us
Right.
really get down into
Mm-hmm.
answering our questions. The quantitative is just some, I don't know, helping us to categorize and see patterns, maybe.
Correct.
Um,
Identify common themes.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So I think maybe you almost want to make it like never one training, two trainings, three something like
so
that.
you wanna make it close ended with the multiple
Or
choice?
no, if you just let them fill in the blank. I
Hmm.
went to one training or something like that. Yeah.
Because I mean, well, they may bring in prior experience, such as their like teacher prep or university
Yeah,
where they've had
that's
that experience. Okay.
that's a good point. Hmm.
Not the college and career, not the staff commitment, not the social activities, not the perception of school climate, perception of student learning supports. They're not specific when they talk about the services and supports.
So you could make them specific. My
By specifically asking about mental health.
so my students, and not community, but my students have access to mental health services for families. My students have uh, accessible, quality, and services and supports in place. That's kind of three interesting questions. So that's talking about in the community, not in the school.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Are teachers qualified to answer that question if we're talking about mental health services? Teachers know,
They know what's available on campus, or they should,
right? They know
because
what's on
most.
campus, but this is asking about the community around.
Oh yeah, if we keep this sentence stem, my students' community, then no.
Yeah.
Now, if we change it to say my school's community or my students' school,
Mm-hmm.
then they can. It's basically asking, what does that campus have that
Yes.
supports mental health?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So my school has
Mhm.
accessible mental health services and support. My school has quality mental health services and support. And That's good.
Okay.
And we'll probably get almost never for all of those. I mean, there's school counselors,
Besides the school counselor.
but it's so hard, huh?
Yeah, I'm a school counselor, so I definitely understand.
Yeah,
All we can
you
really
can't
pretty much,
get all of them. And
yeah,
they have
usually
to be referred to you, and then you have to find the time to get that kiddo in. And
what I'm facing now as a school counselor, and that's why I try to make sure my bias is not in here. It's just I deal with a lot of tier threes. So if you are not, like you said, referred to me, if you don't have a suicidal ideation or a crisis
Mhm.
or external factors that are affecting your academic, you're not on my radar.
Yeah,
Um, you
yeah.
may get some general ed counseling lessons for me,
Uh-huh.
but that's about it.
So there's actually, I wonder, I'm looking at the almost never sometimes. You want to say, my school has accessible services. Those answers don't really fit, do they?
I guess because it may not fit if we look about the families part. If
Mm-hmm.
we specifically asking about the students on campus,
Mm-hmm.
maybe we could use one of them. We may not need all of them.
Yeah.
Do they have accessible? But I guess the words accessible and then quality is
Right.
what I see as the big standouts.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So my students' school has accessible services and supports. They're going to answer about and that could be open ended or not, about the school counselor. They can kind of elaborate on that. And they may not know if it's quality.
What if we change the answers to like mostly true, somewhat true, undecided, and then not true at all? I mean, that sort of thing. Because
Hmm.
it seems to me like these are true or false, yes or no questions,
Right.
but we might have a little bit of leeway. Somewhat true,
Okay. Mostly true, somewhat true.
definitely true, or I don't know. Or,
Somewhat false.
yeah, and the same in the negative. Definitely false, and
Okay.
yeah.
So did I hear you say you want to keep 49 and 50 and then
Yeah, I think get rid of
don't do
51.
51?
Yeah,
Okay.
because if you're 49 and 50, we have service and support that are accessible. We have quality services and supports that are quality. So
Right.
51 seems competitive.
Correct. And I agree. I agree. This one, family, that's activities, family history. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
That's a little bit toward that external factors that we're talking about.
Yes. I think you might end up needing to. Um, to me, it's a very interesting thought. You might require a little bit more on the lit review for you to go into like the
Yeah.
genetic aspects or the even learned behaviors. If you live with someone who has mental health problems, then you
I
learn
see where
those
you're going.
behaviors.
Okay, now 43, I did talk about how if a child has mental health disorders or issues, the problem behaviors may occur.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
43 can stay. I did not touch on about a suspected abuse or neglect.
Hmm. Hmm.
Children may be adversely affected by environmental and human factors.
Mhm. You already got that in there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then we're
I'm
just
just trying to
ignoring
figure out.
those.
Um, oh, the result. There are identified risks that can result in mental health issues. The result of these findings is that parents have a significant impact on children's growth. There is solid, if not definite, research demonstrating that personal risk factors, such as bad parenting and family dysfunction, can basically make the problem worse.
Right. Okay. Well, these are definitely bad parents.
Yeah, so okay,
So
looking at it, they may not be able to answer 42. I don't know if we can rephrase it. But they may not know that student's history.
right.
They will be able to answer 43 because they do see the child frequently.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like in the student's folder, it would say
45.
if they were in the welfare system or
Right. That's fair. That's common knowledge because I think like when it's time to contact parents or make that thing, teachers have to be aware of.
yeah,
Right.
they have to identify the at-risk student.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So we're keeping 43, we're keeping 45. And then are we keeping that sentence stem?
My students' families or caregivers. Yeah, I think so. And then almost never, sometimes half the time, don't know.
So we're
Yeah.
going to go back to the answer choices may change. Right now, we're using the mostly true, somewhat true from that last section.
But this one is describing the frequency of how many of your students have or families have mental health problems.
Mm-hmm.
I would say just stick with their answers.
Okay.
Because it's more of a frequency than a true false. It is a true false, isn't it? But we're wondering how many students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's caregiver support for basic needs.
You said exterior factors or family factors, huh?
Yeah. That goes into is there outside affecting them mentally or emotionally? Do we want to keep this section as is? My students' family or caregivers have their basic needs met.
Yeah.
Food, shelter, clothing.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll be
Up
able
to
to
you,
answer?
really. It's like every question that's on here, kind of, we have to come back to our chapter 2 of our literature.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like it's theirs, then go with it. Or if you feel like it's gonna cause you to do more. I mean, this is very, very much back to Maslow, and students can't learn if their basic needs are not met. Really, your preference.
Okay, let me look at the next sections and then come back on that one because I don't think I really touched on that.
Okay.
I see student safety. Do they feel safe? Student social skills. It literally says student externalizing behaviors for this one.
Yeah. I think we need to keep that because we're talking about mental health and we define it often by the externalizing or internalizing.
Answer choices as is.
My students. Well, why don't you think about what do you really want to know? If it's a number of students,
Right.
Like, do you want to know 90% of my students have poor? Is that what we want to know, or?
I guess I want to know how many. Or are we trying to figure out how often?
Yeah, because it's like maybe one day Joey's fine and the next day he has a poor attention span. So are we talking about the frequency of poor attention span or the number of students who have poor attention?
I think the frequency would be a little bit more.
Okay.
Is that where you're thinking
So then
frequency?
stick with the question as they have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Psychological well-being.
autonomy. Those are good questions. And I think you addressed it in saying that, mental health is not just the absence of illness,
Correct.
So they're good questions.
Okay, we're going to keep as is with the answer choices as well.
I think so. Because again, it's a frequency, just like the
Correct.
externalizing behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Although some respondents might interpret it one way, because as I look at these questions, I can see, are we talking, it says half of the time, but I'm also thinking half of my students have a sense of purpose. And so, yeah.
And then, of course, I can see them thinking probably of that one child they have in mind when they read these questions.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is the internalizing behaviors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are good questions.
Are we as is with this one as well?
I keep coming back to
the chapter.
I wonder how many students and what percentage of my students are anxious or worried, are sad or depressed.
So what
are we wanting
those
to know
two?
the prevalence, the number of students,
Mm-hmm.
or are we wanting to know the frequency? What do you think?
It's a catch-22 because we're saying that teachers are not aware of mental health crises and symptoms. But then we ask them how many of your students are experiencing clear-cut depressive symptoms.
That's a great point. Wonder if we've phrased the question so that
is it do you feel or
I feel my students are anxious, worried, strongly agree. I don't know. I feel my students are sad, depressed, strongly agree. Or even if, how many of your students do you feel are anxious or worried? Give them a range, 0 to 25%, 25 to 50, or something like that. Or do we just not even say, is what we really want to know how equipped the teacher is?
Right, to identify.
With this, I am able to help when my students are anxious, worried, strongly agree, da, 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 da. I am able to help when my students are sad or depressed, strongly agree to disagree or whatever.
Okay, so changing the stem from how many or how the how part. Now I am able to help and then keep the same stem. And then of course it's to strongly agree this time, right?
Yes.
That makes sense.
Because that's what we really want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Not the frequency. You want to know, can they help them?
Right.
So maybe even on the psychological, well, no, maybe we don't need the psychological well-being. All we're worried about is that when they're not well. No, maybe we want to know.
Yeah.
The positive.
It gives you a full view of the child, like overall.
Yeah. So look back down at the externalizing behaviors again. Maybe we want to do the same thing. Oh,
I am able to help
I feel I'm able to help my students with poor attention spans, hyperactivity or restlessness, or impulsive.
Impulsive behaviors will be.
Yeah. We could even add like self-regulation or something.
To the impulsiveness, or a separate
A
question?
separate one. I feel I'm able to help my students with self-regulation. Because that does the overall,
Mm-hmm.
if they have poor attention span, well, help them with self-regulation. If they're hyperactive, help them with self-regulation and so on.
And of course, same STEM. I
I
am
don't
able
want
to
to
help.
change your study, Dorothy, okay?
Oh no! I feel like we're on that cusp of just making sure
Yeah.
that it fits, because mental health bleeds into so many different areas. You have to catch yourself before it starts to cross. So
I just want you to know you have complete freedom to disagree with me
right.
in any way, okay? But I
haven't got
think
to a
what you want
disagreeing
to
point
know.
yet. Right.
Sorry, what?
I chuckled and said I haven't got to a disagreeing point yet, but I'm ready.
Beware, woman. No, I just want to help you figure out what you're wanting. And I feel like you want to know if the teachers feel qualified to deal with all of these problems. So maybe changing the questions might help you.
And then it was just like the sentence stem. Once we changed that stem, it just kind of changed the whole flow, and then that made it 100% better. We don't need the academic press, student school connecting, student academic motivation, and that was pretty much the end of that tool.
So do we want the motivation?
Students have a positive attitude towards school. Students make the most of their school experiences. Students like the challenge of learning new things.
Is that of interest to you?
It could tie in because of course, if a child has low motivation, it could tie into possibly the signs of blah, blah, blah.
Why don't we keep them for now then, and we can cut more later as we know.
Yeah, as we condense.
It's better to keep more now and then cut it down later than to, oh darn, I wish we had a question on this. And
got you.
This is just round one, right?
Round one. Ding, ding, ding. So I guess I can type this up again with the sections and everything that we've changed and kind of send it to you again to kind of look at it.
Okay.
With the way we're moving as far as like having the permission, having the tool and everything finally starting to come together.
Yeah.
Are there specific dates in June that I need to be prepared for or looking out for so that I can be ready to propose?
I'll be around in June, so you just let me know. Well, this is chapter 2, so we need to have chapter 3 and methodology kind of ironed out pretty well.
About what date would be specific? To be specific. So we're working on chapters 3 now. I know I'm going to go back and do edits for chapter 1 and 2, but that's pretty much done. And then we're working on edits. We're working on chapter 3.
What have we got? Today is the 11th. What if you got me chapter 3 by the 25th, and then we'll figure out, is that 2 weeks enough?
Yeah, that 2 weeks should be perfect, because then we still need to give our committee chairs 2 weeks to review as well, right?
Right, yeah. So let me review that week of the 24th, and then that first week of June, hopefully the other members will look, and we'll shoot for the 15th of June.
Okay.
And see how that works.
So tentative proposal date is June 15th. Is that what we said?
It's just over 1 month.
Over 1 month.
But that only gives you 2 weeks to do your part, and then everybody else has the 2 weeks
Do
to
their part.
do their part and give you
I
feedback.
have not reached out to my committee chairs since September of 20.
Who else is on your committee, doggone?
I had asked 3 different people because they were not emailing me back fast enough, but I think I want to go ahead and settle on Dr. Joseph. I'm saying his name in my head. Piltier, and Dr. Amanda Ford.
Okay. That'll be great. Yeah. All right, sounds good.
So do I need to send them like a, hey, I'm still interested. Are you still interested in me?
Right,
Email?
yes. So, did we get their signatures?
No.
Okay, so we need to get the signature form.
So when do I need to do that today? Send them.
You know what? Let's wait a week because everybody's crazy.
They're turning in grades.
If an email comes in today, I'm not getting to it. So just next week.
Okay.
Do you still have the form?
Yes, I think you sent me the new one. Let me go to my email so I can pull it up. Because I remember you saying it's a new IRB form. And then you
IRB.
I'm sorry, not IRB. The paper you separated. I think you got it separated out of the handbook first.
Yes, yeah. Darn it. Dissertation signature.
Page 56, I think it was called. Here it goes, the committee form. I did it. I'm sorry, I'm reading your email as excitedly as you.
So you did it?
No, I'm reading your email. It says you did it.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So that is attached there and you have it. All right. So we just need to get that. I signed. Woohoo. Yeah. So if you have an email where they said that they would, then you could reply to that email so that it reminds them, oh my God.
They can remember.
Yeah. Darn, I'm an idiot. Why did I say yes? No, I'll tell them that that you're a good student. This is not a disaster dissertation.
This is not a disaster. We're not bringing you into a war zone.
Yeah, and we're getting to the point where I'm sorry to invite you, but I really need your help. This is not that, okay?
Yes. This is not I'll buy you coffee in exchange for your help.
I need you to walk this difficult road with me. No,
today's the 11th. What day do you think I should send it next week? So I can put it on my calendar to say, hey, today's a good day to send. That's that 17th or the 21st week.
Yeah, I'd do it on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Such a specific day. You're like, I'd do it on Wednesday.
Yeah. It's just like Monday, there's always the barrage of everything that came in over the weekend that you avoided. So catch up and things get missed. Tuesday, you finally feeling caught up, and then Wednesday, you're like, whoa, we're rolling. Yeah. Never on Friday afternoon at 3, you know.
Never.
But okay. I'm going to have an out of office next week because I'm going to Mexico.
Ooh. We're supposed to go to Puerto Rico in July. So hopefully
you definitely
IRB will be submitted.
Yeah. So great.
I know. And then we're back to work because I heard chapter 4 is crazy.
Oh no. Well,
can it be? I don't know. I'm bracing for impact because I almost threw my dissertation out of my car window.
Yeah. Let me be in chapter 4. Pull my book.
I love when you pull it off the shelf sometime. You're like, oh, here it goes.
Yeah. 3 is methodology. 4 is results. So we can't even work on chapter 4 until
fall.
Yeah, till we actually collect our data and stuff.
Speaking of fall, right now my participants in the site that I'm describing in chapter 3, it's all based off my placement now. If there is a different placement in August, will I have to rewrite that whole placement? Or can I
Um,
still use the teachers as long as it's not during teacher time from this
yeah.
placement?
Did we say that you're getting teachers from a specific school or district?
Um, me and you have talked about if I could use teachers from all over, so I could bypass having to do that. But we did say because this charter school is so lax when it comes to like approval, it wouldn't be difficult. Like it's a small charter, 700 kids, small. So
Yeah. So
either
that means
way,
you also don't have as many people to choose from. So
correct.
I would just leave it as generic as possible. Teachers in the state of Texas will be,
hmm
um,
That means that chapter 3 is going to be paper thin.
yeah. No, because it's going to have your survey. It's going to have the justification why this is a good survey that answers
hmm
the questions that you need. So I think it'll still be okay.
Okay.
Just, I think we'll have to figure out, like, how would we access teachers in general?
It will be by Zoom.
No, and my question we want to get the quantitative stuff back from as many as possible, and then you're gonna hone.
Oh, you mean like survey?
Yeah,
How
how do we get our initial survey people? Just
I think Survey Monkey will be like the easiest. Well, I'm just using that platform, but I think electronic survey period will be
right, but
easiest.
who do you send the electronic survey to? If you were in your school district, you would do it in your school district to all the teachers.
Correct.
So if you're not in that school district anymore, how would you get hold of teachers? Are you
Well,
in Facebook groups?
now of course I'm in Facebook groups. Of course, I'm a teacher who has been to several districts. So
Mhm.
that was kind of like unofficially, I know teachers, but
So you would just
officially I'm
say
in Facebook groups.
the link to my survey will be posted on teacher social networking groups
hmm
or something like that. We would just say, because they want to know, how are you finding these people? Who are you sending it to?
We're going into the streets and we're just pulling teachers out their
Yeah. I'm
cars.
at the mall. Are you a teacher? Are you a teacher? You look like a teacher.
You look teacherish. Come with me. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just because I know life and changes and placements can be different. And so I just don't want to spend so much time explaining this one placement and then
Mm.
God blesses me with something different and then boom, we're in a different placement. So
So I would just
okay.
say we use social networking or personal relationships, teachers that
hmm
you know, um, that sort of thing.
I want to make sure I asked you everything. I think that's it. I think we covered a lot. We did a good job today.
Yeah. You're making
Yay.
progress. You're doing good.
Yes, we're making progress. I love when you put that in your emails. We're making progress. I'm like, yes, we're making progress. Because I didn't know where we were going to go when the year started.
Right.